talking about. I am recording for when that turns into consent.
Good evening. Today is Monday, January 25th, 2021. The time is 6 p.m. and I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Town of Mead Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town disaster declaration dated March 21st, 2020, related to the COVID-19 virus and the town's emergency electronic participation policy for regular and special meetings, this meeting will be held virtually in Zoom. Virtual access information, including the Zoom meeting link, has been provided on the town's website and at designated posting places at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. Roll call, please, Mayor.
Mayor Whitlow.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Here.
Trustee Babcock.
Here.
Trustee Broadhead.
Here.
Trustee Cartwright.
Here.
Trustee Fox.
Here.
Trustee Harris.
Here.
Mayor Whitlow, today is Monday, January 25th, 2021, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I was saddened to hear the passing of one of Mead's longtime residents, Joan Magnuson. Joan was a teacher at Mead Middle School, a volunteer at Mead Community Days, and numerous other events. She frequented these board meetings and senior-friendly forced lunch. I will miss her friendly smile and honest conversations. Please join me in a moment of silence for Joan as we keep in our hearts her husband Don, daughter Janet, and all of her family. Thank you very much for giving us that moment of silence for Joan. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is our review and approve agenda. Our town clerk, Mary Strug, has requested that we add back in the first public comment after item 6B. Are there any other changes to the agenda tonight? Is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I will motion to approve the amended agenda. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Fox.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Babcock.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to our staff report. Town Manager, Helen Muckrick, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor, Trustees. We moved my report up to the front of the board packet to punctuate it because there's so much. This is like the playbook for the 2 weeks prior to the meeting. So you'll find it in your packet, and I would like to punctuate a few things that I think are really important. First of all, all public works and police employees who wish to be vaccinated have gotten their first or will in the next few days. So they just a little feedback from the front lines. They are definitely working towards vaccinating the frontline workers. So that's really encouraging. If you look at this item with Little Thompson Water District, so we met with representative of the district on Friday. As you know, we've continued to have a very, very warm winter and dry. So our water levels are low. We are going to be, I've asked their general manager to come in and talk to the board, but we're going to be getting together on social media. As soon as we're all allowed to get together, we're going to try to have an open house. But we really need to ring the bell for people to understand that the water conservation this year is going to be huge. They have ideas, there are soil amendments and all these things that none of us really understood in our first meeting, but ways to conserve water. So it's just going to be something that we need to partner with. It's very important that we all understand, because Little Thompson is essentially our water department. And they will start rationing, and we could get to the point where you're not even allowed to water outside. So just wanted to give a heads up on that. The Mead police are all wearing body cameras now. That was an objective in the 2021 budget. They've already made that happen. They're still working out some kinks with it, but really excited that we moved into the next era with our police department. I also would like to point out that if any of you came by the spot that will be Ziggy's World Headquarters is now fenced off. They closed on the property on Friday. If you saw last week, there was a huge roll-off that got emptied several times, and basically they now own the site. So the next thing you'll see is demolition. So basically this whole downtown area is kind of being demolished, but soon hope will spring forward as buildings start to happen. And then finally, and I don't mean to be Debbie Downer about all these closures and such, but so County Road 28 is closed. If any of you go to the high school, you know you have to go around the detour on 9.5. They are working on the bridge. It's a 2 to 3 month project. Hopefully they'll get it done closer to 2. But it isn't like where they just close the road and they're not working on it. I went over and put my hand in the dirt today to make sure. But it's under construction, as is the St. Acacia's subdivision up there. And those are the highlights of my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, comments? Trustee Broadhead, and Adams, do you have any questions or comments for our town manager?
No.
Not at this time.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to point out to you,
I just had one question. I've had several people ask me what's moving with Xfinity. They've leveled the lot, they've done the demo, they're just wondering when they're gonna break ground, if you know.
Well, I could ask our planning director to answer that. I don't know the specific timeline.
Trustee Cartwright, members of the board, generally speaking, their building permit is under review right now, so they've submitted it. We're also finishing up the finishing touches on the site plan, so they've sort of stacked their processes. So I can't look into the crystal ball and give you an exact time frame for when all those are gonna be released, but probably within the next couple of months, you're gonna be seeing some things on the site, things moving on the site.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment that Little Thompson is going to raise their rates starting February 1st. Their board approved a 2.1 or 2.2 increase on their January 14th board meeting, so you'll see that too. So to take that into consideration when you start talking conservation too. So just want to make sure you're on this side of the tracks.
There's one thing I was gonna talk about later, but it might be not a better time. So, when Affinity gets going on their side, the south side of Welker, next to the ball field, has never had a sidewalk. You know, it doesn't connect, it's never had a sidewalk. Is there any way we could kind of coordinate anything as far as getting that? Cause Affinity's gonna look great, Ziggy's is gonna look great, and then you keep going and it kind of looks like crap on that side, next to the ball field. Is that just exclusively the school and there's nothing we can do about it?
So it's interesting that you asked that question. As you know, we've discussed that missing link before. That should be part of the school's project as they're building the new grade school. So, but the problem is the property is owned by the state land board. So we had a little discrepancy where the school district thought that the county owned and controlled that section of Welker. However, Erica just got the county to sign a letter that we just gave to the school district on Friday, declaring that that is actually under Mead's domain, and hopefully they can now move forward with getting the right to extend that sidewalk. Nice. So the project's in work, and you know, that's a safe route to school, so we're trying to make sure that students can safely get to the school. The idea is they will ultimately get to 3rd and go north and south. Our long-term goal is to connect the high school all the way up to the town limits on the north end.
Nice, okay, perfect.
Congratulations on that, cause it's been years, years,
It's not
at
built
least,
yet.
yeah, at least 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it is, so thank you very much. Thank you for doing that too. Is there anything else I want to?
Just a quick comment to you, and the staff, thank you, not only for bringing your report forward, but for providing it as a separate attachment, when the packet went out on Thursday. That's, I mean, you're holding our hands, you're putting page references on agendas and everything, but it just makes life so much easier. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to our first informational item, will be our 2021 recreational events, and this will be presented by our Public Information Officer, Laura Nelson.
I think we're situated. Hi, thank you for listening to our spiel tonight about 2021 recreation events. Something that we're very excited to kick off. And I'm gonna start it out, and just go over some COVID guidelines and issues. And then Kaylee, the recreation coordinator, is gonna come up and, present all of her information. So what we're looking at is everything in the department, sports, senior, older adult activities, and all events will be held within the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment guidelines. And those are gonna vary as the year goes on, like last year. The difference between this year and last year is that the Colorado Parks and Rec in general is in a better position to do recreation and events in COVID. There's significantly more resources, and we kinda know what to expect and what's gonna be going on. And so we can adjust both youth sports, older adult activities, and events as those guidelines lift, go back, lift, whatever the case may be. We're in a better spot to handle that. So, our community events will be primarily outdoors, which makes it more likely that they will happen, because the outdoor events have a lot, more leniency on the number of people. But we are still looking at COVID guidelines, so what that'll be is, mass, increased sanitation, where we might have to do, hand washing rentals and bring those to events, appropriate spacing, one directional entry and exit, and then possible limits on attendees. That you're looking at, for those bigger events, and where we're at on the county level. So as you can see, right now we're in an orange level, which is high risk. So potentially we could go outside and host an event, 75 people max. Yellow level is 175 max, blue level 250 max, and then green level 500 max. So for everything that we have, we're anticipating to be in that blue to yellow level. Community day, you're looking at that blue level, that's where we would need to be with 500 people, just because the amount of people that come, but also the amount of vendors.
Laura, I have a quick question. What about, because volleyball's obviously an indoor sport, so how is Longmont Rec handling the games as far as the number of people allowed? Like, are parents going to be allowed to come and watch, or what, do you know yet?
That'll also depend on the level that we're at. So youth sports, soccer is definitely a go.
Yeah, because it's outdoors.
It is outdoors, and it'll be based on the county level at whether you will be allowed to have one parent or your whole family. And it'll just depend on where we're at during March. Volleyball is a little bit different because we are working with Longmont Rec, and Longmont Rec is wavering. They have not said, yes, they're having it. So that's where we're at. We are taking registration, we are hopeful. If Longmont is willing to host the games, the plan that Kaylee came up with is to do, outdoor practices similar to soccer. It's gonna be weather, soccer's weather too, so, they're both in the same situation. But the fact is that we will not be able to get into Mead schools to utilize gyms for practices. That's just, it's off the table. It hasn't, it is off the table. It is not something that they're even looking at. I know that's why Longmont is waiting to see. But last year they still had some games. If we can hold practices outdoors, then they can still go to Longmont and play. If Longmont's willing to host the games.
I mean, even if they, I've noticed a lot of events now are starting to, have live, feeds because parents aren't being allowed. Like my daughter does gymnastics, and the gymnastics places, they allow one parent to come with the child, and they've got the chairs all spaced out, but then they're live Zooming, not Zoom, but they're doing a live feed so that other parents can watch. Is that, do you know if that's something that Longmont has considered or looked into?
Not that I'm aware of, but that's a really good idea. I know that's how it was for
I mean,
soccer
at
too.
least they're getting to play.
Yeah.
That's kinda, I mean, yeah, sure, it'd be great. As a parent, I would love to go and watch her, but to me, if she just gets to play and get that experience and get that, I'm okay with that, if that's what it has to be.
Mhm.
I'm okay with that. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'd love to watch, but
Yeah.
I'll take what I can get.
And I think that's kind of where everybody's at is, as long as the kids can get outside and play and do something. Colorado Parks and Rec are working proactively to get recreation off the ground this year. And so it is gonna be, you're looking at possible restrictions like we did with soccer, where you're only allowed to have one parent go with you to the games, and it's a bummer. And, you know, you have siblings that you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do with, but unfortunately, that's just kind of where we're at. We are also working, with Boulder County organizations. So they have different COVID guidelines than we do. So it's a mix. So that's kind of what we're looking
Doing
for.
the best you can, I know. Go ahead.
We are, but we are in a better spot. And last year, with COVID, nobody knew what was going on. They didn't know what was okay. I mean, it was just a mass confusion. And I will say that, the Colorado Department of Health has really good guidelines and suggestions on how to do these things, within the limits, so. Any other questions about COVID? Okay, I'm gonna let.
Million, but
I
let it
know.
go.
I'm gonna let Kaylee, take over for recreation.
Hi guys, I'm Kaylee. I am new here, so I have not seen you before, so nice to meet you. Our recreation I'm really excited for this year, so I'm really hopeful that we will be able to follow the guidelines. We're gonna offer this spring's soccer and volleyball, like Lorelai mentioned. Our soccer is paired with St. Vrain, so they'll practice here in Mead and then play games in St. Vrain. And same with volleyball, if we have it, they'll practice here in Mead and have games in Longmont. And volleyball and soccer will be both spring and fall. I'm hoping to have T-ball this summer for preschool through first graders. That will be here in Mead, and our games will be in Mead. So we're hoping to make multiple different teams, that way they can all play here in Mead, and we have our own league, which would be super great to have. And then hopefully if the school ever plans on finishing their fields, we'll be able to offer some sort of baseball or softball in the future, but right now that's not in our plans because we have no space besides the grass field for them. Basketball will be in the winter. Preschool through second grade will have teams and leagues here in Mead, and then our 3rd through 8th graders will practice here in Mead but play with Longmont. And then flag football, we don't have any flag football, but we promote it through or offer have links to the, Twin Peaks Youth Sports, so in there they can they can join Mead teams and they can probably, and then we help coordinate the practices here and they'll play the Twin Peaks. Okay. Our youth camps for this summer, we have soccer, that's gonna be for all ages through Challenger Soccer, so we contract that one out. And then that will be for preschool through, kids age 14, I believe. And that will be here in town. And then football, volleyball, multi-sport, and basketball will all be with, Skyhawks or Super Tots. So our football will have both, preschool and kindergarten, and then they'll have, regular, like, 1st grade through 8th grade group as well. Some of the new programming that I'm super excited about are Wildlife Explorers Summer Bucket List and a Father-Daughter Dance. The Wildlife Explorers is a class through the National Parks and Rec Association. I've taught this class before and it's a super fun, it gets the kids outdoors, you learn about natural or like the habitat, like animal habitats and streams and waters and all sorts of things, and it's all outdoor and they provide all the like workbook for it too, which is great. Summer Bucket List is a class that I've created. I thought of what can we do to allow kids to have fun this summer and have a chance to get outdoors and do things that maybe they can't do if they're like an only child or they have siblings of various ages. So this will be a class that you can have all sorts of fun activities. So whether that's a day of water games or we go and play all sorts of summer like games, like outdoor games like frisbee golf or the spike ball or make arts and crafts and do things with like outdoors with that. So that's a super fun class I'm really excited for. Hopefully everyone likes it. And then a father-daughter dance. I wanted something that will bring the dads and daughters together in our community and something that we haven't offered before. So being able to offer the father-daughter dance I think will be super great and I'm very excited for it as well.
Is that gonna be outdoors or what are you thinking on that?
For the father-daughter dance, I'm hoping to have it in the fall and then
Maybe the schools will be open.
maybe the schools will be open. If not, we'll do like very limited in here and it might be different time frames. So instead of having it just be an evening, we might move it to like a Saturday and we'll have like a 10 to noon, a 1 to 3 and a 5 to 7 time frame sort of thing. That would
Good, you're thinking about the alternatives.
Yes.
Good.
Quick question.
Yes.
These sound really, really cool.
Thank you.
The two that you mentioned, the first two under new programming, do those require town-sponsored transportation?
They do not. So we'll all have a meeting location at a specific park and then everyone will meet there at that location. So I'll pick up like a park in town and then every week we'll just meet there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some tournaments and leagues, since we aren't having a basketball season, and that's a very popular sport, we wanted to offer a program this summer to get kids involved in basketball. So we're gonna host a 3v3 basketball tournament. I think it's ages 6 through 14, and then they'll register as an individual, and then we'll create teams, and they'll play based on their teams and proper age brackets. Adult cornhole, we're looking to partner with the chamber to host this event so we can have a beer garden with it as well. We're planning to meet four like Tuesdays a week or a month, so it'll be like cornhole will be in June I believe and disc golf will be in July, and it'll be 3 weeks of league play, so playing each other, and then we'll make a bracket out of that for that 4th week to make a tournament, and then we'll have tournament prizes at the end just to add a little more fun and hopefully get those adults out there that want to be able to join in on some fun and have their own league. And then disc golf as well. We're utilizing our golf course that we have in town, and I'm hoping to do some outreach to local clubs and organizations to help improve our course, whether that be they want to donate some stuff or we can work together to help improve our golf course here in Mead. Older active adults, our senior lunch is currently being served to go style, and that's going to continue until probably May or June, and then and during that time then we're hoping to get back in person It's going to be with regulations, and we're gonna have to follow all the guidelines set forth by not only Friendly Fork, who's in charge of the meals, as well as Weld County. So if we ever get back in person, we'll have to follow those. And I don't have any idea of what it will look like once we get back in person. And then we're planning to hopefully have 2 additional meals, a Christmas dinner as well as a St. Patrick's Day dinner. Now St. Patrick's Day will probably have to change, or we'll make it and serve it to go style, just like the same everyday Thursday meals. Exercise and trips, our seniors are really wanting to get back in the facilities. They really want to get back to exercising and doing yoga. Hopefully in May and June, we'll be able to start that back as well. We can easily take those outdoors. So last summer they did yoga in the park, and that's something that we can easily implement again this year, if it can't be indoors, as well as exercise. So that's the nice thing. Once we get to May and June, we can utilize the outdoor space and use the parks for that and get our seniors back in. And then if everything goes according to plan, hopefully in the summer and fall, I'll be able to offer some smaller senior field trips, whether that be to like a sporting event if they have those, or they want to go tour the Stanley Hotel. So that could be something we look into, taking small groups at a time going on those types of field trips. These are some of our community events that we'll offer throughout the year. So our Easter extravaganza, cleanup days, fishing is fun, our summer kickoff, rockin' and reelin', Thursday night music and movies, bike parade, national night out, Mead community days, father-daughter dance, Veterans Day, and Christmas. Some of the event changes are the Easter extravaganza. We're going to join with Grandview Church. They're going to host the event, and we're going to help as they need. So we'll advertise it, we'll supply the eggs, reserving the park, will help with the trash situation. So we'll help with all the bigger details. They'll do the small details and host that event. Our summer kickoff, that will be joint with the chamber and local businesses. That will be the first big event of the summer, and we'll have food, vendors, activities for the kids, and then live music. So we'll pair a concert with that as well. And that will be like a Saturday in June. Rockin' and Reelin', this is gonna be our music and movies, concerts and movies, alternating every other Thursday in June. So instead of having it spread out throughout the months, instead of having some on Thursday night, some on Friday, we decided to move them all on the Thursday night and have them put in both June and July. These events will be a collaboration with the chamber as well as Grandview Church and other local businesses. There'll be food, vendors, activities in the church, and the chamber will help with some of those as well. National Night Out, this will be our last big event of the summer. This is an event that the police come out with, and it's a correlation between the police and the fire department to get to know the community, and the community to get to know them. So this will have activities centered around the fire department and that police department, and then we'll have vendors, and then we'll pair this with a music or concert to end the summer events. Our Veterans Day, Mead schools already host some sort of event, whether that be a breakfast or what are those, like gatherings or whatever they call them. So we are planning to collaborate, I'm planning to collaborate with them and help them with their advertising and events needs. That way the veterans aren't feeling like they need to come here for a breakfast but also go to the schools. So we're just helping join our events together, and I will help them in any way that they need for their, whatever you call it, event, like, I can't think, assembly, that's the word. Christmas in the park, this year we are not going to do a community tent or a mass chili dinner. We're gonna change it up. Some of the things we're thinking about are offering carriage rides, having some ice sculpting come in, reindeer petting. I'm really excited for that one if we can get it. We'll have Santa there, of course. Hopefully the kids will be able to see him more this year than they did in last year. We'll have another tree raffle, do our annual tree lighting, and then we're hoping to conclude it with a parade, and the parade be the last event of the night instead of the first event of the night. So just some changes in there, change it up a little bit, and then hopefully we'll partner with local businesses as well for that event.
Do you have a date for that one?
That will be December 4th, I believe. It's that first weekend in December.
I'm just, the only reason I'm asking is it came to mind, I don't even know if this is feasible, but the giving tree. What if we put a giving tree at that event? I imagine that tree would be wiped by the end of the night.
We definitely could. We do.
Just a thought, I don't
No,
know.
that's great, because we do have a giving tree, and I didn't put it in here, which I should have. But we do have, an event, we typically partner with TBK Bank. This year we did with the Sugar Mill, and we had our tree there, and we're able to host, it there, but that's a great idea to have it in
I mean,
there.
maybe
and then-
move it, have it there for a while and then bring it
Yeah.
there for the event and then put it back for in case there's somebody that couldn't come to the event. But man, I imagine that
No, that-
everything would be taken off that tree by the end of the night.
That's
That'd be
definitely a great
place
idea.
to put it. So.
I will definitely take that into consideration. That's a great idea. This is our community guide. You guys have a hard copy of it in front of you, but it is meant to be, or our plan is to have it be digital. So, I've created all of this, and then, when we upload it, we have plans to upload it to our website, and everything that you see, like reserve a park shelter or something, is linked, so people can easily click on it, and it will take them to the correct link. So our registrations are linked, our park reservations are linked, so they just have to do one simple click, and it takes them to where that they need to be. So our youth athletics, it will automatically take them to our youth athletics page, and from there, they just have to register. So that's super neat, and that will be easily used, or if nice and easy for people to use, user friendly. So that would be great. Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is fabulous.
Thank you.
My only concern, last year, pre-COVID, so for 2020, we had basically dropped middle school age. The thought process behind that was the middle school does their own rec leagues,
Yeah.
and then there's a fair amount that do, competitive leagues, and so we just weren't getting much.
Yeah.
CHASA, being high school, is pretty much the only thing doing any athletics. There are one or two that go to 14, which
Okay.
would be through grade 8, but there's just a lot of 6th grade. There's quite a few, but like soccer, only up to under 11 and 12. Youth volleyball, 5th, 6th, especially for spring. Right now, when there is nothing with school,
Yes.
nothing, I mean, clubs are starting to go, but a lot of those kids didn't get involved or whatnot.
Yes.
I'd really like to see us, if we at all can do a 7th, 8th grade youth volleyball league. Volleyball was probably one of our most well-attended. And we're leaving out, we're like hitting the 6th graders, but we're not
Yeah.
getting those 7th and 8th graders. So anything that we can go up to 14, I would really, especially for this year, but I would say spring and fall.
Okay.
If we can do anything that covers our middle schoolers, because CHASA is working really hard at getting our high schoolers somewhat back into sports,
Okay.
but I feel like our little kids are
The middle school's
middle.
kind of being left, they're being
And,
left
right,
out.
because it
Yeah.
seems like some of the younger kids are still getting stuff too, but I
Sure.
really feel like those poor, like 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds, they're kind of in this mix of, well, I'm too old for this
Yeah.
and can't go to high school yet.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see, especially, youth, flag football goes up to 14, so if we could do that, that's my
Yeah, I
one
can
thing.
definitely look into that and add that, cause I think that's a
And
good
then
idea.
in one ad, it said, for the Mad Scramble, it said 7 to 14, and then the
Okay.
next ad said 5 to 14 for the Mad Scramble.
Oh, I will fix that.
Just saying.
Thank you.
But this is amazing, but yeah, just think about our middle schoolers, cause they're really, especially now, being left out.
Yeah.
And, because they're not being considered for any of the recreation, and not a lot of middle schoolers do competitive. A lot did the middle school rec leagues, but they're not doing any club sports. They're trying some clubs, but
Okay.
I don't know how that's going.
Yeah, I will definitely look into
Okay.
that and see what we
Thank
can
you,
do.
and well done, and nice to meet you.
Thank you, nice to meet you. Are there any other questions?
It's free fishing day on June 5th?
Yes.
Okay. The
Yep.
statewide?
Yes.
Okay. We should make sure that people are aware, because,
Okay.
I was on the events committee,
Mm-hmm.
and something that it got very confusing in that
Okay.
period of time, because when they drop the fish, and when they're available, and when you're allowed to fish, that should really be defined. You should lay it out, because when they drop the fish is like the second week of May, but you can't fish for free until the 5th of June, so we kinda wanna make that really clear.
Okay,
That's all.
I will do that.
Maybe put a link for the fishing license in there.
Ooh, good idea.
Gail, great job. I just wanna say, we need to add the disc golf to the Ames Park page.
Oh, yeah.
So add that.
Okay.
I don't know what page it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is on
Yeah.
this page right here.
Mhm.
Add the disc golf on
Okay.
that page. But it looks awesome. I'm
Thank you.
super excited. We've never had this before.
This is huge.
Never, ever had this before, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so, thank you.
Yeah,
See you
thank
Thursday.
Mayor, if I could.
Yes.
I just wanna say, the idea of this came from Lorelei, like when she came to us and she said, I really wanna have a brochure. And a huge amount of legwork was done by Kaylee. I mean, this is a huge amount of work. There are some things, this isn't the final copy, so and please take a look at it, so get back to us. But total shout out to these two ladies, because this is really moving us along. You know, again, our branding, but really putting our fingerprints on the recreation program for the summer, even when we aren't sure with COVID. But I just really wanna thank them, because I think this is moving us into a whole nother era, in a good one, so. But please get your comments back, and then we'll get it finalized.
Great, thanks Lorelei. Thanks Kaylee. Exciting news. Alright, next we'll have, an informational item is our active development map we asked for from Jeremiah. And of course, thank you for doing that tonight. And this is based on Trustee Harris's request.
Partially. More to come on all of that.
I'm taking credit. I'm taking full credit for this thing.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give a quick overview of this map we've been posting for probably about 2 years now. And it ties to additional information that's on the website. Just trying to disseminate more information about current projects and their statuses and whatnot. So by active development projects, they're kind of 2 categories, either A, under review and not approved, or B, they've been approved and they're under development, construction, etc. And then also we have it broken by residential, commercial, or kind of other. They don't really fit into a category. And speaking with staff, makes sense to likely put a mixed use category or something of that nature as well. But this is, you know, the bottom, the legend just gives a little brief snapshot of what the project is, just the name and some information. So this is where we are currently and where we have been for some time. But I would like to just touch on where we're going with some online applications that have been afforded to us with some additional legwork with staff.
Is this being posted on our website?
Yeah, this is always up on the
Quick
website.
thing, could we make it so that if somebody clicks on that property, it like takes them to the PUD or the whatever it is?
We're
So
getting
that they
there.
could actually, like if somebody clicks on Highland, it will actually take them to the picture of the
You're
development so
stealing
they can
his
see
thunder.
what's coming.
That's exactly where we're going.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to ruin that for you.
Yeah, so staff has built kind of, this is not 100% rendition of the application of the platform, but this is a start. So anything that's, you know, highlighted based on the same colors, residential, commercial, or other, if you do click it, so if Lorelei would click Red Barn for us, it will be a little hard for y'all to see, but it lists a whole bunch of information, project number, what the project is, where it's located, quick description of what it is, the acreage, how many dwelling units for residential. And then if we click more info, it does bring us to the website where we do have
Perfect.
Wow.
That's
Those
what I
materials
wanna see is the
located.
plat, so that people could go and say, oh, that's what that one's gonna look like.
Exactly.
Love
So Red Barn, as you all are aware, this is under review currently, so these are just, you know, the certain submittals versus a final project. But if we click on Iglesia, for instance, this one, if we go and click the attachment, we do have the recorded site plan. So this is what was approved and recorded, and this is the exact, you know, site plan that's being constructed on that site.
Do we we have click counters?
I don't think our website could do that, right? Wasn't that one of the limitations of our website?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately, no. But yeah, so this is where we're going. We have the opportunity to make a whole bunch of different maps, using our GIS online. We can post, recently approved or recently, completed projects or anything. It's just, staff time involved in working with the consultant to build those, platforms. Once they're built, it's pretty easy to manipulate and update, so, yeah, with that. Any questions, suggestions, anything that y'all would like to see, we're happy to do.
Kudos.
We'll also have, Laura, if you'd click maps, real quick, at the top left. So if we get, the question quite often, what is my zoning? So we'll have a land use and zoning map, so it'll show not only the future land use for the entirety of the planning influence area of Mead, but the current zoning for all properties, and it's searchable. You go put in your address and it'll bring you right to it. We see infrastructure and maintenance projects. We'll be able to do quite a bit with this.
Do we have one for parks?
Not yet, but we can certainly write that down.
Get one for all of our parks, cause when we've been coaching for years, and you send out everything, we're gonna be meeting at Ames Park on Tuesday night. Which one's Ames?
Yeah.
So it'd be nice for people to be able to go to a map and know exactly where those parks are too.
Yeah, we can do parks, we can do quite a bit.
Is it a bad question to ask what kind of data shows up when you click on Mead Town Center? It's just empty.
Yeah.
That's why I asked if we had visit counters. I'd love to see how many people click on that to try to find
Yeah,
out.
we haven't published this anywhere. This isn't out for the public yet.
Gotcha.
We have a few
Beta
more
version
things,
still.
wanted to,
That's
get it
really
between, in front of staff and before you all, to get your thoughts. But yeah, we hope to launch this very soon, get it up on the planning webpage. And yeah, we can have parks, we can have a number of different things, whatever
You
GIS
should
they
put parks
have.
not under just maybe the map gallery, but also under rec. Would be a good place for the parks to be too, on map in the parks.
And just not to just jump into what he's doing, but remember too, we do have a signage project this year that Lorelai's working on. And one of the keys is gonna be pointing people to parks with their proper names. Because you're right, people don't know what it is. We don't have a uniform set of signage at our parks. Some parks are in neighborhoods and we don't know if they're public. So, that's another thing that we're gonna do, kind of in conjunction to this. It's all our information dissemination campaign.
Is that gonna be part of our wayfinding signs too?
Yes.
How about utilities? Because there are parts of town that are in different utility areas, we could.
Yeah, we could have 208 boundaries or certain, boundaries of service for certain, as long as we can, get that data.
Because that would be useful if people were new to the neighborhood and they could get a list of
Right.
all the items in their area.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll write that one down as well.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we also have the laminated maps as well, right, Jay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can leave them with Mary for y'all to pick up. It's just the current one updated with the current projects.
Yeah, and I use this for the coffee with the mayor, and the other one that's really important that I use too is the zoning one that you do.
Right.
That's really, just people they really, really like that too, so just kudos to you for making that. Alright, did Trustee Broadhead or Adams, did you have any comments or questions on any of the informational items?
No, I don't.
Okay, thanks.
I really appreciate it though.
Bill, not at this time, great presentation.
Thank you very much. Alright, we'll move on to our first public comment of the evening. The board welcomes public comment for any item, whether it is on the agenda or not. Generally, the board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. If you desire a conversation, please email the board or town manager or come to the scheduled town hall meetings or monthly coffee with the mayor. If you're with us virtually, please indicate by raising your hand to speak. When you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone that would like to speak this first public comment? No. Alright, thank you. We'll move on to consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and enacted in one motion and vote. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as is?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Fox,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Babcock,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion passes. We'll move on to new business. The new business tonight has to do with our enclave annexations, and this will be presented by our planning director, Chris Kennedy. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board. You have before you a request to initiate the annexation of certain enclave areas, and we've of course talked about these in the past, brief occasions. These are all located in Seagate Business Park. Generally there at the northeast corner of I-25 and Highway 66. Tonight we'll be talking about looking at two different annexation areas. Thank you, sorry. Having a hard time with that tonight. Number one there, as you can see, it's shown in blue, surrounded by the pink, which represents the town's annexed limits. Number one there, it's comprised of two separate properties made up of 10.21 acres. Number two there, it's shown in green. It's comprised of 5 different properties in that case, made up of 10.87 acres. Just a quick base touch and reminder to the board on what an enclave is in the context of annexations. And this is defined in state law as a property that's surrounded on all sides and by annexed area. It's been surrounded for 3 years or more. And in these cases, the town can annex by ordinance without a petition from the owner. In terms of process, step number one is to perform the required survey work and actually confirm what we thought before, that these are indeed enclave status type properties, and these are the surveys and maps that are included in your packet. And so we've already completed this step. Step number two is why we're here tonight. That's for the board to actually initiate the annexation proceedings and set a date for formal consideration. We're recommending that be, from a scheduling standpoint, March 8th. Step three would be required by state law, and that's that we publish 4 separate notices in consecutive weeks in the newspaper, the Longmont Times Call. Step 4 is not actually required by state law, but we felt like it would be a more transparent approach, and that's to send a courtesy letter notifying the property owners if the board in fact decides to move forward with these annexations. We would perform that step this week. And step number 5 is when the board would actually consider the annexation. Again, we've got it in the notices in your packet. We're recommending March 8th from a scheduling standpoint. Quick note on zoning. State law does require the assignment of zoning within 90 days of a property being annexed. Typically, we would run the zoning and the annexation concurrently. The usual practice, bringing those before the board. In this particular case, we wanted to provide additional transparency and involve the owners in the zoning process. Most of these properties in the Seagate Business Park do contain light industrial businesses, manufacturing, and those kinds of things. And so we believe that the town's light industrial zoning classification will allow them to continue doing business within those existing operations without interruption. So if the board does choose to move forward with annexing these properties tonight, then we will work with those owners and surveyors to process zoning applications. If the board chooses to move forward tonight and then formally consider those and approve them March 8th. And so in conclusion, staff's confirmed that these are in fact enclave annexation as defined in state law. The properties are within the town's identified annexation area that we talked about before. It means they're surrounded by Mead and have been, for at least 3 years, and in this case are served by town facilities such as roads and police patrol. Town may annex these enclaves by ordinance according to state law without a petition from the property owner. So to conclude, staff does recommend that the board initiate the enclave annexation process and then set as a formal consideration date, March 8th of 2021. And with that, I'm happy to open up for questions and any discussion the board might want to have.
Questions, comments? Trustee Broadhead, Adams, maybe from Adams, lump you all in the same. Do you have any comments or questions, on these two resolutions that are before us tonight?
I do have a question regarding what was just covered. On those two annexation properties, the overall condition of those properties have already been assessed, is that correct?
Overall condition in terms of how they relate to state law with regard to enclave annexation status, or the condition of the property or buildings themselves?
Yeah. No, sorry, it was more into regards of, once they become part of the town, we become responsible for the roads or driveways or gutters or curbs or what have you. Are they in good condition at this point in time?
We don't know that at this point in time. We can certainly perform that kind of assessment over the coming weeks before and bring that information back to the board prior to a formal consideration, if that's the will of the board.
Okay, yeah, that was my only concern. I just wanted to know if there's gonna be a price tag associated with that to bring things current or where things were at with that. I didn't want us to get into something and then find out we need to throw $100,000 into something to get it up to code.
I would point out though that we already own the roads that service these properties though. The town already owns the roads. So any assessment would be just sort of a visual assessment of the property in terms of code enforcement or building inspection, those kinds of things. But the roads are already under the jurisdiction of the town.
Okay, that was my only concern.
Yeah, and Chris, it might be helpful to bring up, for example, that map of the enclave annexation number 2 again, because you're absolutely right. The internal right-of-way or the internal roads are already part of the town of Mead. So Trustee Adams, to answer your question, the town's already responsible and has been for some time. But if you want to bring that map up, Chris, we can take a look at that and confirm that.
Can you back it up over, yeah, the button back to back.
So confusing, huh? Does that work?
And while he's pulling that up, I just wanted to make sure that there were no other things that we would be accountable for if we haven't already had a chance to inspect it to make sure that they were in good working order.
I mean, it's private property,
Yeah.
so if there's anything wrong with the property itself, that's up to the property owner.
Right, no, I'm not talking about whether it was the property, I just want to make sure there was anything else that we were responsible for from the town perspective other than the streets.
Well, you can see there, primary access to annexation area 1 is Mulligan Drive there, and I think that's Long's Peak. And then Mead Street, appears to run through annexation area number 2. And these are all already owned by the town, correct? And maintained by the town at this time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Steve.
Just wondering if you can provide a little bit of clarity as to the timeline, the notification letter that you attached, or that you included in the packet. It reads that the Board of Trustees will be considering the annexation at its March 8th meeting. If we're considering it in March, what are we doing this evening?
Well, you're just initiating the process, so it's a very short process for enclave annexation. So tonight, you're basically saying, yes, staff, move forward with the public noticing and the courtesy letter to the property owners. And then that's about it. Then we come back and it's kind of like a second reading that they do in other communities. So this is just a sort of a heads up, like a substantial compliance, meeting that we do for other, annexation, projects, more conventional annexation projects. But you're kind of just kicking it off at this point. And then we'll bring it back, and then you'll do a final consideration, at which time those properties will actually become annexed.
Okay. And you offer in the letter, you know, you encourage him, you know, feel free to reach out, you know, with any questions. Is the expectation that we'll be prepared at that time to provide an individual impact to, you know, what does this mean to you, business owner? You know, based off of property values or whatever the case may be, that we have some sort of estimates to share with them instead of that shock and awe, like, oh my gosh, what does this mean, and not have, you know, information to share with them.
But from a tax perspective and what they can expect from a tax burden, yes, we've already got, you know, sort of initial numbers on that. I believe we've actually shared some of those with the board in the past. So we're happy to, meet with those property owners individually if we need to, and share that information with them.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Thank you very much for the presentation, sir. Is there a motion regarding resolution number 10-R-2021?
I'll motion to approve resolution number 10R/2021, a resolution of the town of Mead, Colorado, stating the intent of the town of Mead to annex certain property and initiating annexation proceedings for property known as the Seekich Business Park Enclave Annexation Number 1.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Broadhead,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Babcock,
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Fox,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you, motion passes. Is there a moving on, is there a motion regarding resolution number 11-R-2021?
I'll move to approve resolution 11-R-2021, stating the intent of the town of Mead to annex certain property and initiating annexation proceedings for property known as Seekich Business Park Enclave Annexation Number 2.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Fox,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead, Trustee Broadhead, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Debbie, we can't hear you.
It's not her messaging you right now, is it? Okay, just checking. She's not texting you.
She did text me and say she stepped away from her computer for a couple of minutes and she'll be back soon. So, we're gonna go ahead with Trustee Babcock,
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with a 6-0 vote.
Okay. Thank you very much, appreciate it. Thank you, and no, that wasn't Trustee Broadhead. My phone. Next, we'll move on to second public comment, for this period during the meeting. Please raise your hands to speak, When you're recognized, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. For this second public comment, is there anyone that would like to speak?
We have somebody. Rita B.
Hi, this is Mayor Whitlow. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name is Lita. I live at 2624 Branding Iron Way. I had 2 questions. One of them was, what's the benefit of annexing these properties, either for the owners or for us? And the second question was, is there a status update for the Liberty Ranch townhomes? And that's it.
Okay, and Lita, if I can interrupt for a minute, would you please give your last name for the record?
Lita Byers.
Thank you.
Did you want to answer the questions? Lita, this is Mayor Whitlow again. We're gonna turn the microphone over to our town manager to answer your questions. If you have additional ones, please, if you can, email her, and we'll get you the, email address for your information.
So I'll take a stab at both, questions. I believe her first question was, what is the benefit of annexing property? And I'll speak somewhat esoterically about, in general, both the benefit to a property owner as well as the benefit to the town. So typically, in the case that we just saw today, those were enclave annexations. So by their very nature, everything around them is already in the town. So we typically are already maintaining the roads and providing police service to those areas. So the benefit is kind of an economy of scale. These properties become outliers where they have to be served by the sheriff, and they're kind of like islands without homes. So the benefit of bringing them into the town of Mead is that they become part of the community and they can share in the community services that we provide. The benefit to the town is not only that we also there's no ambiguity when you go to an address and you're like, oh, there's a burglar there. Nope, they're not in the town. I mean, I'm being glib, but the idea is it removes boundaries. And so it's a benefit for our police and our roads services that we provide, but there's a monetary benefit because they will pay our mill levy, and that mill levy, as we all know, is 11.5 for residential. It isn't a lot, but it's still something. And then if it's a business that's producing anything for sale, we'll get our sales tax from that. So right now, if they're assessing sales tax, they're only paying the 2.9% that goes to the state. But once they come into the town of Mead, any sales, any goods, we would get 4.9 and we'd get 2% of that. So that's generally the over-under benefit of annexation. Not to mention there's a lot of softer benefits, like just being part of a community, especially when you're surrounded by the community. So that's one answer. The Liberty Ranch townhomes, the last we met with the developer, they were struggling with some water issues. There's such a high off-site cost to deliver water to that site that they are still working on penciling the project. So at last, it was left, it went to the planning commission. The planning commission had several comments. The applicants went back to address those, but they have yet to materialize as a project. I wouldn't put a degree of probability on it, but I haven't spoken to him about the project for probably 2 months. They're still doing their due diligence to see if the project makes sense.
All right. Yeah, well, thank you. Lita, if you have any additional questions or comments, you're more than welcome to email our town manager. All right, is there anyone else out there that would like to speak during our public comment?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight. Next we'll move on to elected official reports. Any of the town trustees would like to bring up anything tonight? Trustee Harris?
So I was thinking about this earlier. Ames Park, we did all of that outreach and design and everything that we've done with Ames Park, and then it was kind of like library, and it kind of went on hold, and it's been sitting in this limbo since. Well, now that the library's pulled out, can we start doing something with Ames Park? No?
No.
Why not? I mean, is it strictly money considerations, or is it?
What our plans are for 2021, no.
I'm just curious, because I know we've got stuff going in Highlands.
No.
But is there anything that we can start working on towards at Ames Park?
Yes, so, we can start working on the disc golf course and add a couple of, no, and I'm a disc golfer, so I like that. It is a capacity issue and a money issue. So we have, and you'll hear me every time, if you say, Helen, what are your 4 top priorities for 2021? I will rattle them off in rapid succession. Highland Lake Park, 3rd Street, the bean plant, and the public works facility. These are, we're maximum capacity. However, we are looking, as we look into 2022, of advancing phases of the park plan. So when I say no, I mean no as in immediately, but later on in this year, because you're not the only one to ask for it. I know our planning staff would like to move forward with it too, but it takes a lot of work to get it to where we're ready. All we have are colorful plans. They have to turn into engineering drawings, but later this year. So I shouldn't have said an emphatic no, but.
Okay, I mean, I just know that the library kind of threw a big wrench into things for a little while, but now that they're kind of out of the picture and doing their own thing, I just thought, we're not doing anything yet, so, okay. Other thing that I wanted to discuss, and you're probably gonna give an emphatic no to this as well, which is okay, but I wanted to bring it up for a discussion. So, Mead Town Center, we all know, what the people here think of that whole building and the fact that it's dragging on. And, and I don't even know how it would work or if it could work, and it probably can't work. Is there any way to kind of put time limits and restrictions on a building like that being completed? I doubt it, but I'm just asking so that it can be clearly stated. I mean, it's a private property, we're not gonna get involved in it financially or anything like that, but from a perspective of the permits and the other things that we do have control over, is there any way, like, cause if I go to put a building on my property, and I mean, like, the covenants in my neighborhood state that I have to finish that project within a certain amount of time. And I don't know, is there something, and obviously every project is unique in its size and its construction and its everything else, so I know it'd be kind of a can of worms, but is it even remotely possible to say, okay, this is going on too long and not, obviously we can't retroactively go back, but going forward, is there any way to put some kind of restrictions, time limits, timelines on projects that they have to follow or that we can enforce in any way?
Okay, so from what I can tell you, asked 2 questions. First was, could we impose any time limit on that project? And then second, could we in general impose time limits?
No, I know we can't on that project. I mean, it's kind of, the ship has sailed on that, isn't it? I mean,
well, the building permit is the limiting factor, so.
Yeah, but they can just apply for a new permit. Granted, that would cost them a pretty penny, but if the permit expires, can't they just come back in and apply for a new permit, once they're ready to, say, pick up a shovel again and start working on it again?
Well, they could, what I would just say that our attorney, Marcus, is working on a memo for the board that really solidifies what our position is on that property. I know you guys are asked questions all the time. There isn't an unlimited time frame. You have 6 months from an inspection to the next inspection. If you go 6 months without an inspection, you have to apply for an extension. And so in that particular project, that we granted a 6 months extension due to some extenuating concerns like COVID and some issues on the site. So, however, it is coming up to another point. The town could say, okay, you have to come in and apply for a whole new building permit. Or they could say, we're not gonna give you, you've exhausted your time. But it wouldn't be prudent, because then you'd have a 90% built building, and then, so you wanna, in general though, asking the question, can time limits be on? They could be. We could put into our building code a maximum time limit to finish a project. But I would just ask what the goal was, because sometimes things come along that make it very difficult. And they might be matters that aren't anybody's fault. Could
I mean,
be
like
weather.
COVID is a perfect example of matters that were out of people's hands. I get that. And then in that case, yeah, an extension seems like a no-brainer. But
But what do you get? What do you get if you put a timeline on it, say it was your house, and you put another barn up, and you got halfway through and you didn't like it anymore, and you just left it there? So and I don't mean to be obtuse, but believe me, I've thought about
But
this
if
a
the
lot.
HOA came to me and said, you
Yeah.
can't leave it like that
Yeah.
because that's ugly and hideous and all your neighbors hate you, they would either make me, one, take it down, or two, finish the dang thing. Like, or they would start fining me for having it unfinished. So the HOA actually has some recourse in that instance. If I were to put up a half-finished building that looked like crap, do we have any recourse? I mean, like, it's kind of the same kind of thing, like, I mean, honestly, you're not gonna make them take it down at this point, and I'm not trying to just pick them out individually. I mean, there could be any number of projects. What if Agfinity gets halfway done and they decide, oh crap, this sucks, we don't really like it here, and decide to pull out and do something else? You know, I mean, what recourse do we have if a half-finished building sits there for 5 years?
Well, at this point, I don't know that we do, but I'd turn this over to our attorney, and I would suggest that it might be something that we get together at staff and come back and brief the board on, rather than just shoot from the hip. Because I can't give you a definitive answer.
Fair enough.
But if you're gonna build that barn, I'm telling you.
Oh, I've got my barn, don't you worry, I've got it,
Okay.
it's there.
But we will get back to you on that. I'm not trying to be.
No, I understand that can take some research and some time to come up with an answer, but I just thought it was worth having a discussion about it and throwing it out there. So, that's it, I'm done.
Marcus, did you wanna
Yeah,
add any verbiage?
thank you, Trustee Harris. Like Helen mentioned, I will be preparing a short memorandum on this. I think that there's a couple, I mean, generally, a half-finished building can sit there indefinitely as long as it's not violating any provisions of the building code or property maintenance code. It is not creating a health or safety hazard for members of the community. I think that there are certain ways that the town could incentivize a project finishing. It's my understanding that historically the town has not charged a fee to a property owner for extending a building permit. So that's something that we could definitely look at and bring some recommendations forward in terms of implementing a fee that would cover all of the administrative costs associated with staff's time and the time of your contracted building official, Safe Build. I mean, I think if a property owner realized that there would be some substantial extension fees that would be incurred if the project were not completed, that might incentivize the property owner. I think it's important to remember too that it's my understanding that with this project is a little bit unique in that there is not a commercial lender involved in the capital stack. So often you will have a bank or the group that is providing the project financing that has a very specific draw schedule that is associated with that project, and that bank is overseeing the flow of funds to ensure that the construction is completed on a specific timetable, and that unfortunately is not the case with this project, given that it's my understanding that there is no construction lender involved. But I'll continue to look at this, and we'll come forward with some recommendations.
All right, thank you very much, Marcus. Brooke?
Thank you. I have a couple of things. Piggybacking on the Mead Town Center, their back or east side fence blew down more than 2 weeks ago, and those really crazy windy days, and it hasn't been put up yet. So I'm just concerned because it is an open construction project that it hasn't been put up. So can we look into making sure that the site is at least secured? Because there is nobody on the property usually.
We can. We actually reached out to her the first time it blew down. There was some attempt to resurrect it. I know we've had the same issue like Agfinity, and they've gotten it right back up. I will reach out to her again. I know there's a piece of it missing, they did put some up, and then there's a berm like up against a Jersey barrier I saw today, which is sort of fence-like, but I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you. The next thing is kind of piggybacking on Ames Park and the library. Update on the library, if they were in discussions, and I know I had asked you, Helen, outside of the meeting, what the update was, but just for the public, what is the update on the library working with the private landowner and possibly still coming to Mead?
So, as you were speaking, I was rudely, writing an email to the director of the library. I spoke with, I think it's been about 3 or 4 weeks, spoke with the developer of that property goes to Medellin for the winter, that's where he spends his winter. And he sent me an email saying that they were still working through, the deal. And I spoke with Matthew Hort as well, and he indicated the same. However, when we did meet with him, and that's probably been 2 months ago, Mayor and I met with him, one of their board members, they're concerned about COVID and their funding. So they were, although they are looking at securing a property, they're very concerned because they have a mill levy, as you know, that you pay every year. And they were concerned about the drop in property values due to oil and gas. So they were kind of wanting to just look into their crystal ball with COVID and with the oil and gas drop. But I have talked to him, and he didn't bring it up the last time, and hopefully I'll have something by the next board meeting to find out where they are. I do think the pressure should continue. I still think we're due a library here in Mead. We have been paying into this mill levy since the 80s, and there's looking at their financial records, which are, Lorraine looked at, they have very healthy reserves. So I'm glad you asked. I think this board should continue. I may even draft a letter for your consideration to go to the board. We can't take our foot off the pedal on this.
Okay, thank you. My next one is opening the community room to the public. And I know, COVID right now and the restrictions, but we are, what color, back to orange now, or no, yellow, orange? What, are there any plans to be able to open it up now that, the research is showing that surfaces aren't the way this is being transmitted? Are there any plans to open the community room back up following COVID protocol, where we would even have people wipe down after using it, but get it back to being open as a community room? Is there any time frame on that?
Well,
and you can get back to me, because I know that's a really loaded question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I would say not in the next 3 weeks. Orange is still pretty high. It's just below red. And so we don't have the janitorial staff to do the cleaning, but we do want to get it open. I mean, our goal is, but we're like the school. I mean, it's the same thing. They're not opening up the gyms to us. So I'll get back to you on it. I will get a memo to the board on it, but I can't say it's going to be in the immediate future.
Okay. And this one is more of every time I pass them, you kind of think about it, I know the signage is a hot topic, but the existing Mead boundary signs that have lasted, unlike pretty much anything around here. I mean, those things don't look a day old. I mean, it's amazing, but they're so outdated. Could we get a cost estimate of what it would be to put our updated information logo on there, and that be like a little step forward of branding and wayfinding? And I know you have without spending any money, right? No, but every time you drive past them, and they're around and they're well placed, but they are just completely outdated. So I'd just be interested to see, is there a inexpensive option, like how they change out billboards, that we could glue up on top of them, or not? But I mean, I know we have no extra money, so that's more of a, but I'd be interested to hear like what it would take, because if it's crazy, then of course, we don't have the extra money, but if it's not a huge expense, it would be nice to update what we already have. So,
Yeah, we can get some costs on those, as you will recall last year when we were looking at some signage options for the town, including, electronic sign that we did not move forward with.
oh,
We did have, we had some quotes, and I can work with Lorelei on looking at some strategic ones, especially replacing some that are very prominent. I would love to do it.
it's not a high priority, but it's one of those things, like every time you come back from Longmont and it's on 66, so it gets so much traffic, so just more of a, if it was a line item in there and I missed it, I'm sorry, or it got overshadowed by the digital downfall.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
The thing that didn't happen to happen, so,
I
thank
mean,
you, that's it, that's all I have to say.
No, I will look into it. I also would like to point out that, today as I was driving over and looking at the Sandy Cacius project, if any of you've been over there, first of all, I'm a little concerned about dust, cause the entire site is disturbed, so we'll be working on that. But more importantly, as you drive along that, you would never know that that wasn't Barefoot Lakes. That, as a matter of fact, there's a sign on the very southern border that says Barefoot Lakes.
Yeah.
So the average person driving by would think, oh, look, more Barefoot Lakes, cause it just looks like a continuation. I hope to work with them to have a, kind of like what we have at Sereno, where there's a Mead logo on the bottom, so people start to understand that we do have our flag on the moon over there. So, the entry signs to Mead would be many, because there are many ports of entry. But particularly on the east side, where we are starting to see quite a bit of development, we have to figure out a way to make sure that too is incorporated into it. But long answer to your question, I'll look into it.
Okay, and I lied, I wasn't done. I had one more comment. Okay, again, this seems a hot topic, but with the new elementary school, were they required when they built that building to do a traffic study? You can get back to me, because that might take a little digging into, but.
I can answer.
Okay, answer that. Did they have to do a traffic
Yeah.
study?
Whether they had to do a traffic study or not is somewhat immaterial, because they don't have to give it to us.
Okay.
They are a subdivision of the state, so the entire project is run through the state engineer's office. Their building permit goes through the state engineer, same with the site.
Okay.
They don't have to.
Well, so they build this big, beautiful building that is larger capacity. They build a larger parking lot, but then the beautiful turn lanes that I'm assuming the town of Mead paid for and redid. I was temporarily not in the state of Colorado, so I'm not sure exactly how that all went down, are not being used now. And it's, I don't even know a good term to put it, it's a cluster. It is not going well. I luckily do not have to drive to the elementary school,
We talked about it last meeting.
Oh, no, I know, and then I actually talked to Chief
Okay.
afterwards, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because this traffic issue should not be falling on the town of Mead and our police department when the school district created the issue. Not that they have a police department to send out there, but they, and we, I guess, employ our traffic crossing guards too, but I'm concerned because, and I don't know if it was temporary that they were doing the one in, one out, right lane turn, but the fact that when you drive through there now, that the turn lane is gone, they've coned it off, that wasn't free. That turn lane costs a lot of money, and the curbs and the sidewalks, and it's just concerning when you drive down that street now. And if you've ever gone at pickup or drop off time, it's crazy. And the middle school, I mean, they can't fit all the cars for pickup, but.
Well, the problem is that they now have the 4th and 5th graders, parents are supposed to pick up in the Mead middle school parking lot, and then the younger kids pick up in the regular elementary school parking lot. But they've backed everybody up onto one road, so you have all these people waiting to get into this one, that then can't get past, they have to go around all of these to try to get to the next line to go to the elementary school's line, and literally, I mean, it's exactly what you said, it's a cluster. And it's not efficient,
It's
and
hard
it's
to
terrible.
play ball sometimes with the school district because they work on their own, but what can we do that we're not taxing our police? Obviously, they're happy to be at the schools but when this issue is so big and traffic is backing up so far, and I don't know if it's, twice a day, so I guess it's just really frustrating, and I'm speaking from a parent that doesn't even have kids there anymore, so I don't even have to deal with it, but as a citizen driving and having those turn lanes, so they're not now supposed to be turning there, but it seems like this is not being gone about the right way.
Well, and people that are coming on that road from the other direction that don't anticipate what's going to be happening at the school at that time of day, bail off onto 7th Street really quick and go into that neighborhood to get around it all, because it is at a complete and total standstill for a good 20 minutes. I mean, that parking lot in the elementary school, at 45 minutes before the school even gets out, that lane is completely full of parents waiting to get their kids. 45 minutes early, that lane is full of parents, because it is so ridiculous to get your kids in and out of there. It really is bad.
I actually can vouch for that we actually have a camera that faces Walker, and that traffic is backed up all the way to Ginger. And they are turning at Ginger and coming through Western Meadows.
Or turning at 7.
And down through 5 and going down 5, or they are turning on 7. They're making any bypass that they can make to come around the school. So now the traffic is moving, the bypass traffic now is moving through our neighborhood. And I think that's probably the best option at the moment, because I don't know what else they can do. But I will say that not allowing anyone to turn left into the parking lots is creating a massive traffic jam. And it is at least twice a day. And I think there's actually 3 release times, so it's 3 times in the afternoon.
Well, you have the middle school release too, but they have their own lot. But the fact that it's affecting town and town resources above and beyond. I mean, it's our school. We have to, we live here, we use the schools, and we pay a lot, but now, I mean, it just seems like it's not being dealt with correctly. So I would just like to see what our options are to help figure this out.
So, I'm happy to meet with the facilities, manager at the school. I've met with him before at St. Vrain. A couple things, unfortunately, that is what happens. Schools do put, the issue spills out onto our roadways. I always thought, when I was looking at this project, I thought a really good idea would be to run a road back behind the middle school, back across over to County Road 5. So, that there's basically land there. If there were a way, because we talked about this during construction, and I asked him to reach out to the developer who would have been amenable to it. It would have been a temporary road for construction, but it seems to me the problem is one of, you have basically one entrance. If you look all along Welker, that's what you have. I think they're gonna have to come up with a solution with a whole nother way out that takes it off of Welker, because the capacity, whether you limit left turns, right turns, it's exacerbated by the fact that nobody's using the bus, because people aren't taking the bus because of COVID. But I still think that there's a fundamental flaw in the issue. I'd like to work with the chief and with their facilities guy, because it's also left to the people at the school to figure out. They got it. It's not like they want it to happen. But I would like to brainstorm some ideas with them to see how creative they can be, because it seems to me the best solution to this is another way out.
Well, and I agree that COVID is making it more difficult, but the school can only deal with COVID like all of us, but they have reduced the amount of children they are busing because of COVID, and so there are more more parents dropping off now, because a bunch of kids who used to be bused no longer are, or now they've consolidated buses too and routes and changed routes, so now that kids would be on so much longer, so parents are dropping them off. So, and I agree, the staff over at the school is affected in dealing with it, but it's coming from higher up, and it's really though gotten to be too much of an issue and too many problems that seem to be bleeding out into what is our problem, so.
I will contact St. Vrain, and this isn't an empty promise, because this is an ongoing issue, and it's not our issue or their issue, it is a common issue. You know, sometimes mistakes are made when you come up with parking plans, and I think the chief and his staff might have some insight, and, we also know the engineer who did the site design, so let us see what we can do. It won't be in an instant, but I do think there's gotta be a long-term solution to this problem.
Thank you.
Sure.
Isn't there an access road that goes all the way around the back of both schools?
No,
No, is it just the middle school?
theirs doesn't go around.
Doesn't go all the way around.
They have a front parking lot and a back parking lot. Back parking lot's only for staff. And there's not even a maintenance road that goes all the way
I
around.
thought there was though, I thought they built that in. Cause when we were at the open house, they said, oh, that's the bus lane that goes all the way around the school.
No, the bus
No,
lane's
that
in
was
the
the
front,
That's
in
the
between the
The
two
front.
parking lots, it's that little loop right there. So you also have the buses on Welker.
Right, I'm done. Sorry.
I'm gonna go to, trustee Brodhead and, Mayor Pro Tem Adams. Do either of you have anything for this segment of the agenda?
No.
Thanks, Tim. David? All right, we'll come back. All right, we have discussed, having open forums. Could we have a discussion about that if we're gonna have it on February 2nd? If we're going to continue to do this year? I know we talked about it last meeting, we run into two Tuesdays of the year that are going to be affected every year, which is the elections and National Night Out.
Yep.
So I'd like to, have a discussion. I know that we have two out, but I think we really either need to have it on February 2nd and figure out for next year what to do for the other two, or what's the plans? I'm okay with whatever it is, so.
So, just briefly, I did do the poll, and I think there was probably 16, maybe 18 people that responded, so more than what I thought we'd get, to be honest. And it was about 50-50 on either virtual or write-in questions. So those are two options, Zooming in, or you could do some sort of submit your questions to the website, and then we take time during a board meeting or whatever to answer those questions. We can do an open forum. The consensus was the wording open forum seemed to resonate a lot better. People understood what that meant, whether trying to come up with something clever. Open forum seems to work. But there are two dates for the first Tuesday. So it'd be August that we do National Night Out, so it would be a conflict there. And then Election Day is always that day.
Could we do 2 Tuesdays and like 2 Thursdays? I know the room's used for court and we have very few open days, but could we do like that way too, maybe even more people, because Mondays are always busy, Saturdays are always busy, Tuesdays are always busy, but oh hey, I'm always, available on. So since it's always night out and always election night, can we move it?
Or just move all of them to Wednesday or Thursday. Whatever.
Yeah, Wednesday is court, right? No.
Is Thursday court or Wednesday?
I think Thursday. Court is Thursday, but it's the third Thursday of the month, so we're doing
Oh,
like the
first,
first
yeah.
Tuesday, that wouldn't conflict.
But I mean, if you're consistent, then maybe you get more people coming, the first Tuesday of the first quarter, February.
I think we need to pick one day of the week and stick to it, like
You
either
do?
Wednesday
So
or
you don't
Thursday.
think-
If Tuesday's a conflict, then let's,
I mean, do
we're
you
not-
think
there's
people
nothing
really
set in
look
stone.
at the dates far out and go, oh, I can't do February, Tuesday, February, but I can do November, on that, I mean, do you think being consistent, it's not like we're doing it weekly.
Yeah, but we were trying to do it like the first Tuesday of every quarter or something like that, was kind of what we were going
Right,
for. So
right.
we did the first Wednesday of every quarter.
The bottom line, why are we
and
doing
people
this?
kind of know what to expect.
But we want people to come.
Yeah.
So if we do 2 of them on the Tuesdays like we already set, and then shift, because it's the first week, so Thursday should be fine, shift the other 2 to Thursday, yes, you have that week that has National Night Out and then the open forum, but it's still giving the citizens a chance to come, or I think giving them the option to write in, why can't we do that as well? Why does it have to be one or the other?
I agree.
We're gonna do both.
So, but thank you for that, and I'm glad you're happy with 16 out of our 4,200 residents. 16.
Any input? 2 Tuesdays, 2 Thursdays?
Well, I gotta believe I'm not the only one that misses trash pickup every time there's a conflict that week. So I would say if there is a conflict with election day or whatever, you can write off anybody coming 2 days later. You know, my recycle bin sits out there for 24 hours.
But we're
and I
not
just
doing
wheel
it,
back in.
that's the point,
Right,
if
so-
you were, then you couldn't.
I would agree that consistency is key. And I think it also is worthy of a reminder, you don't have to wait until that Thursday to submit a written question.
Yes.
Our emails are out on the website, and we welcome public communication. You know, so don't hold it in your draft folder until that day.
Fun fact,
You know,
Friday,
fire away and go.
Send your emails to the trustees. Actually, yeah, why, we should, you know, we wanna hear from you, we have email addresses, I still think
Yes,
some people
but at the same
don't know.
time, if somebody sent me an email, I don't know that I should or could respond directly to that email, depending on what the question was.
Oh, well, no, but even in that open forum, there's times where we're like,
Right,
and then we
right.
have to say, we're gonna get back to you, but the question's finally put to us so that we can answer instead of the rumor mill.
So, let's go back to the dates here. Deb, Dave, do you have any input on 2 Tuesdays or 2 Thursdays or 4 Thursdays? There's your options, okay? 2 Tuesdays, 2 Thursdays, or 4 Thursdays. I didn't mean to have a difficult
I think-
conversation, but I know, David, you were
I think it's
reluctant.
different.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, sir.
No, I know this is difficult, so I think this is, I just got back, sorry, this is for the meetings with the, people.
Open
Yes.
forum, yes.
It's not really gonna matter for me because of my, rotating schedule, so I will make what I can, so any of those dates are fine, whatever works best for the majority.
Trustee Broadhead, do you have any input for 2 Tuesdays, 2 Thursdays, or 4 Thursdays?
Not really, just, send them out, and it's sort of confusing right now, trying to figure out what ones they're gonna be, so, not at this time.
Okay. My vote would be to be consistent for 4 Thursdays. That's my
That's my
consensus.
vote.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I don't have to be a
All right, can we put that out for the public? It'll be February 4th. So I didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but we need to get this on the website and we need to get this out to people, and please invite your friends and your family, not family, but your friends and your neighbors to join us that night versus via Zoom, because we'll be doing this Zoom that way. Right. And then 2 days later, was it 2 days later? Yeah, 2 days later, we'll be having coffee with the mayor. So that's another option for people to come in. We'll have that excellent map that Jeremiah did. I wanted to highlight something that Erica has on our website, and it's this GIS map of all of our CIP stuff. And I think we need to highlight that. If you could maybe we could do an informational briefing from you of what that is, where it's at, and why it's there. And then not only trustees get to see more, but I think it's more for the public on how much really things do cost, where the bridges need to be fixed, and so on and so forth. So I think that we need to put that in the near future of, we have this is here. It's, you know, it's not, you know, here's the facts on how much things cost. So if we could do that, I don't know if, I mean, you just pull it up and maybe do a couple of slide presentations for the public and say, here's where, here it is. This is why it costs so much. So, and the last thing I'd like to just bring up is, these are very difficult meetings to run. As you can see, sitting by myself, Brooke was here last time, and trustee, Mayor Pro Tem Adams was, a couple weeks ago, but it's really hard when you've got 30 or 20 or 5 people on these big TVs. So I just want to say, I'm sorry if I don't get to you all the way. We've set up, Mary has set up, you know, giving you your, pictures so that you can put up on if you have to be on Zoom during their meetings. My preference is everybody would be here, you know, the rest of the year unless you're sick or have COVID. But I just want to say it's very difficult to run these meetings. If you have any suggestions on what I can do better running the meetings from this little 6x6 area. But I wanted to make sure that you understood how much effort it takes to put the owl up and all the cords and distance everybody in these rooms and us too. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. I still would like to look in the future of a permanent dais here. And I think it's important that we grow up a little bit and look to the future. We're going to be having our own community building here soon. I think it's important that we venture into a better place. Not only for us, it's for the public and it's for the court system that we look, but I think we present ourselves in these business meetings a little bit better. The only municipality around us that do not have a dais is Platteville, and they do a wonderful job in their little narrow, kind of like half of this room. But even Decono has theirs. It's a small room, but it's something presentable. But I just want to say thank you to the staff and Mary and everybody that puts this room together, and for you guys to all, you know, actually see what happens during a Zoom meeting. It's very interesting, and you know, it's very, when people start talking, it's very, you know, like that. It's like that's 5-second wait period. So if you think of something that I can do better during these Zoom meetings, not only for our public, but for, you know, our residents and for our staff and ourselves, let me know. I really do appreciate any time that you guys can just send me an email or just call me or text me. So that's all I have tonight. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Deb and Dave, Marcus being there, all the citizens that are still on Zoom. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Is there anything before we go? Before we move on to something else though? Okay, all right, thank you. Next is our executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session this evening?
I move to go into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024F to discuss personnel matters for which the employee has consented. Town manager review.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I'm gonna go with the roll call vote.
Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
Yes.
Trustee Babcock.
Yes.
Trustee Cartwright.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Adams.
Yes.
Trustee Fox.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Motion carries. The time now is 6:43, and we will turn off the recording. 7:43, and we will turn off the recording and adjourn to executive session where we will start the recording.